Hello everyone. In the late 80s and early 90s, the world of rock and metal started to get weird. Most of the weirdness started to emerge from the underground from bands of various rock and metal genres. The king of weirdness at this time was an eclectic experimental band by the name of Mr. Bungle. Mr. Bungle was founded in Eureka, California, in 1985 by 4 people that were in high school at the time. These people and their roles in the band were Mike Patton on vocals, keyboards, samples, and guitar, Trey Sperance on guitar, keyboards, piano, and backing vocals, Trevor Dune on bass and backing vocals, and Jed Watts on drums. Not too long after they formed, they would recruit Theo Langell to play saxophone and keyboards. Eventually, there will be more members joining Mr. Bungle, but we'll get to them eventually. The band originally started out as a humorous death metal band, but they did dabble in other genres at the time, such as speed metal, thrash metal, crossover thrash, skate punk, and hardcore punk. The band eventually got tired of playing death/thrash metal style of music and wanted to do something more creative. In the following years, the band would expand their sound to include ska, jazz, swing, and funk. During the mid to late 80s, the band released 4 demos, with each demo featuring a unique experimental sound to it while still staying true to their roots. Mike Patton would eventually join the alternative/funk metal band Faith No More in 1988, but he still continued to make music for Mr. Bungle. Due to Patton's commercial success in Faith No More, Warner Brothers Records signed Mr. Bungle in 1990. At the time, the band recruited Danny Hevitz to play drums, tambourine, trumpet, and Clinton McKinnon to play tenor sax, clarinet, keyboards, piano, and backing vocals. Both of them were recruited in 1989. On August 13, 1991, Mr. Bungle's self-titled debut album was released. The album was produced by saxophonist and experimental musician John Zorn. The album contains many genre shifts, which is typical of the band, and helped increase the band's popularity, gaining them a cult following. The genres that the album features are avant-garde metal, experimental rock, alternative metal, funk metal, ska, and jazz fusion. On August 10th, 1995, Mr. Bungle released their second album titled Discovante. This album features an even more experimental sound. The genres featured in this album include avant-garde metal, experimental music, experimental rock, art rock, and jazz fusion. On July 13th, 1999, Mr. Bungle released their third album titled California. The album features a less metal sound and goes into more of a pop music direction with their experimental edge still intact. The genres featured in this album include experimental pop, experimental rock, art rock, progressive pop, and surf rock. In 2000, Mr. Bungle disbanded as a band, but 20 years later, Mr. Bungle reformed with some old and new members in the mix. Rejoining the band was Mike Patton, Trey Sperance, and Trevor Dune. New members of the band include Scott Ian from Anthrax/SOD and Dave Lombardo from Slayer. On October 30th, 2020, Mr. Bungle released their 4th album titled The Rage and Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo. The album was a re-recording of the band's first demo and the sound of the album goes back to the mid to late 80s Mr. Bungle. The genres featured in this album include thrash metal, crossover thrash, skate punk, and hardcore punk. With myself finishing listening to the important parts of their history already, let's get into their eclectic influences. The band's influences are Metallica, Slayer, Merciful Fate, Sodom, Napalm Death, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Living Colour, Butthole Surfers, Dead Kennedys, The Residents, Queen, The Mother's Invention, Frank Zappa, John Zorn, Burt Bacharach, Ennio Morricone, Devo, Roxy Music, The Beach Boys, Sammy Davis Jr., Oingo Boingo, Camper Van Beethoven, Bad Manners, The Specials, Fishbone, and many others. I don't know them all. Mike Patton's vocals usually feature him doing death metal growls, singing, crooning, rapping, screeching, gurgling, and whispering. If you want to know more about Mike Patton, I made a separate video about him and will be linked in the description box down below. The genres that the band have played are avant-garde metal, heavy metal, alternative metal, funk, experimental rock, experimental music, experimental pop, jazz fusion, art rock, death metal, thrash metal, ska punk, ska, crossover thrash, gothic rock, free jazz, surf rock, punk, skate punk, hardcore punk, klezmer, K-pop, avant jazz, folk, noise rock, pop, doo-wop, electronica, swing, space age pop, exotica, rockabilly, bossa nova, progressive rock, progressive pop, country and western, circus music, video game music, and cartoon music. As you can see, Mr. Bungle has no genre and might be considered a pioneer of post-genre, but that's a video for another time. With their experimental sound, Mr. Bungle have influenced many noteworthy bands such as Avenged Sevenfold, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, System of a Down, Slipknot, Mushroomhead, Bloodhound Gang, and many more. The band had a huge influence on the alternative metal, new metal scenes, as you can see. Well, we're at the end of this video, and before I go, if you like this video and want more like it, then make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share this video. I'm Vaughn Wesley, and have a good day.